Today we're talking about another thing that really deeply interests me, and that is a perspective created by ecocentric psychology in terms of four sides into every human. And those four sides all represent certain types of archetypes and energies that is extremely important for people to develop. So all about that in the next minutes. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's dive in. So, I was mentioning earlier that this theory is called ecocentric psychology. So, eco as in focused on nature, centric as well, okay? And this theory was basically developed by Bill Plotkin, who created the concept based on Carl Jung's initial working. So, in a sense, we still are in the field of Jungian psychology. But we will go a little bit further into understanding how these four sides exist in every single person, but in some way or another, we are more attuned to some parts of ourselves and less attuned to other parts of ourselves. So, in his book Wild Mind, Bill Plotkin talks about the north, the south, the east, and the west into every single human being, okay? And these four sides represent a certain type of energy that comes from that place. So we've got the north. This is the energy that we associate with the generative adult, okay? So the part of ourselves that is kind of like a parent. It is protective, it is able to lead, it is able to take care of things, of people, of ourselves. It's the part of ourselves that can take on formal roles like parents, leaders, managers, founders, whatever. And it's the part of ourselves that is more rational in the decision-making process. But rational, I don't necessarily mean in the sense of thinking, or logic, but rational in the sense that I'm going to take into account all aspects and I'm going to decide accordingly. I'm not just going to go with my instinct. Okay, then we've got the south. This is the opposing energy to the north, and in this case it's called the wild indigenous. So you can see the side as being the more emotional, sensual self. The part that exists in every human that kind of connects to the universe, connects to the whole, and is much more interested in kind of like finding space, creating space for oneself, because it knows that no matter where it goes, no matter what it does, it belongs. And that's incredibly important to understand. So this is the part of ourselves that sits cozily, makes space wherever it is. And here I mean both concretely and abstractly. So I might be somewhere physically and I can make my home there, or I can be somewhere mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and make my home there. This is the part of ourselves that is able to connect to our emotions, to our instincts, to the things that connect us to every single living creature on this planet and this universe. And it's a part that wants to be, wants to go with the flow, wants to experience. And then we can move on the other axis of east and west. In the east, we've got the wise innocent, or the wise child. And I like the antithesis here, because on the one hand, we have, the wise one, and on the other hand, we've got the innocent one, or the child. And what I like about this archetype is that it combines the side of us that is, playful and curious and extroverted, the part of ourselves that looks at the world through the eyes of someone that is curious to explore something new, that is curious to learn something new, that is not judgmental, that doesn't have a lot of pressure coming from the outside, etc., etc. But at the same time, we have the side of being, deeply wise, connecting to the essence, connecting to what really, really matters and what one really cares about. And seeing the big picture, seeing how things connect to each other. And lastly, in the West, my favorite part, this is the darkness in every human. This is called the muse, or animus and anima, from Jung's original theory. And this part of ourselves is said to be the more introverted side, the part where we explore what is unknown, the part where we explore mysteries, the part where we connect to the romantic side of things, the artistic and creative side of things. But here, by artistic and creative, I don't necessarily mean the aesthetically beautiful or the aesthetically pleasing. I mean, you know, those components of yourself that kind of help you give something meaning through the darkness that already exists. So kind of like jumping into the darkness, seeing all there is in that darkness and creating something out of it, making sense of it, giving it a voice, giving it an emotional value. And this is also the part of ourselves that connects us to romantic love, the part of ourselves that helps us find connections to other human beings in a romantic fashion, okay? And we basically can love from all of these four sides, okay? From the north, from the adult energy, we can love in terms of, you know, protecting others and nurturing others and caring for others. From the south, we can love through giving others space to be who they really are and being accepting of whatever they want to be and whatever they want to express. From the east, we might love in the sense of inspiring others to be curious, to push them to like look at things from a novel perspective. And from the west, we can love romantically, okay? In this kind of mysterious sense that we often associate with the idea of being romantic. And the reason why I'm sharing these things with you is that I found it to be an extremely powerful tool for kind of like looking at yourself and seeing the parts of you that are healthy and the parts of you that are maybe not so healthy. I don't want to say broken because it's a bit extreme, but maybe not so healthy. And basically, the idea is that human beings are holistic creatures, and this is something I keep wanting to like, you know, emphasize in my videos. Even though I might be talking about MBTI or the Enneagram, which are both theories that classify things, okay, and show us that maybe we're a thinker, or maybe we're a feeler, maybe we're an Enneagram type 3, or maybe we are an Enneagram type 6, whatever. But the idea behind everything is that we all have everything in ourselves, okay? We have everything that is possible to have in ourselves. And I don't mean in a very concrete way, I mean this in a way of everything there is available to human consciousness and unconsciousness. Some parts of this whole realm of thoughts, beliefs, emotions, instincts, intuitions are easy to access. They're patterns that we have repeated, that we have practiced, that we have gotten more accustomed to. Some parts are less healthy, they're less used, we are less comfortable into using them. And in my honest opinion, again, this is debatable, but in my honest opinion, the true path towards growth, the true path towards finding fulfillment in life, because this is what we often strive to do, is to integrate. Not to like separate, but to integrate. To integrate all sides of ourselves to create that whole. And I think from this ecocentric psychological perspective, we can do that even in an even better way, because it shows us that maybe some of these archetypes are not functioning properly. We have kind of lost access to their true essence and their true energy, and we're kind of, you know, slipping downwards into less, how do I call them, less powerful and less positive sides. So if our adult is not really developed, if we're not healthily adulting from the North perspective, we might become a tyrant, right? So instead of being a nurturing parent, we will become someone that is extremely critical of both ourselves and others. And this is something you can find in the John Beebe model as well. We've got the parent function and the critic function, which are basically stemming from the same source. Yeah, they're both feeling, sensing, thinking, or intuition functions in a human. So they're connected. We've got the main side and then we've got the shadow, right? In John Beebe's model, the parent is in our consciousness and the critical parent is in the shadow. Similarly, in this ecocentric psychological perspective, the parent is the north. It's the part of ourselves that has the potential to be healthy, whereas the critical parent or the tyrant is in our shadow, okay? So it's the part of ourselves that manifests in a negative, destructive way, and it tends to be overly critical, to punish ourselves and to punish other people, and that obviously brings a lot of pressure. When it comes to the South, instead of being the pure, beautiful energy of the wild indigenous one, we will fall into the trap of being someone that is either, a hurt child, because this is a very instinctual part of ourselves. So if we are, the archetype of the child that is really hurt or that has suffered a lot, we can either manifest in the form of a victim, or we can manifest in the form of someone that is very rebellious, childishly rebellious, someone that thinks that they don't need to do anything because everything can be integrated by them, that they deserve anything. And in that sense, again, we fall into the trap of not manifesting the true beautiful energy of this archetype. Then when it comes to the Eastern side, so the wise innocent, the child that is wise as well, here if we don't manifest the beautiful energy of this, we will fall into the trap of going into escapism, so behaviors that make us escape life. It could be anything really, from drugs and alcohol and other addictions, to simply avoiding something that is important, avoiding your feelings, avoiding certain interactions, avoiding work by procrastinating. We all have certain patterns that kind of make us escape things and not face them, okay? And this is the flip side of the Eastern part of ourselves. And then when it comes to the West, here, this is basically the part that even Bill Plotkin says it's a little bit less understood by everyone really, because this is what they call the shadow. This is a bit different from the Myers-Briggs Jungian typology thing, and it goes a little bit into the idea that, well, the real shadow, the true shadow, is just the mirrored side of our Western self, of our introverted, mysterious muse, of our animus and anima. And it's that part of ourselves where we get lost into everything that we could be but are not aware we are. The part of ourselves where we get lost into this realm of darkness, and not to be understood necessarily that it's bad to be in the shadow, or that we're only manifesting negative traits, where we can also be manifesting positive traits. And for that matter, Bill Plotkin talks about golden shadows and dark shadows. Golden shadows are positive traits that we admire in other people, and that's probably because we also have them. And dark shadows, negative traits that we don't like in others, and that's probably because we haven't accepted them ourselves. And this is related to the idea of projecting. We project onto others, But I think it's mainly because, as I said, we are all that big dark forest, okay? We have the same forest. We just have the light on in different parts of the forest. But it's fascinating to take a step and look a little bit into the darkness of that forest. It's empowering, it's beautiful. I myself have been in two camps a couple of years ago where we kind of understood this theory and integrated it in nature. So there was a lot of alone time in nature, reflecting. And I must admit that the impact that that has had on me was transformational. I remember coming back from those few days spent in nature and with some really amazing people, and everyone was like, what happened to you? Your face is different. You look so like happy and serene, like what's going on? Your whole vibe has changed. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely a reflection of how I felt inside. And I do really encourage you to give this a little try. Maybe you can start with reading the book Wild Mind by Bill Plotkin. I'll link it below. And give it a try and tell me what you think about it. Which sides of yourself do you think are stronger, and which sides do you think you're kind of suppressing and kind of going into the negative component of that? Just let me know in the comments below, and thank you a lot for watching this video. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you next week with another video on psychology.